Welcome back, and thanks so much for watching Morning Live. Now, the high rate of hunger and poverty is driving a spike in shoplifting in South Africa. According to the National Institute for Crime Prevention and Reintegration of Offenders, NICRO, over 6,000 shoplifters were arrested across South Africa between 2021 and the 27th of June 2023. And shoplifting is a real economic concern, and it also occurs under various circumstances. There are, of course, professional shoplifters, shoplifting driven by poverty, addiction, kleptomaniacs, and thrill seekers, of course. Vincent Creyvagen is a Daily Maverick journalist, and he has profiled a mother, a single mother with 3 children from Bishop Lavis in Cape Town, about her daily struggle with hunger and poverty. And she has subsequently resorted to stealing food in order to feed her children and survive. Now, is the terrible economic situation in South Africa that we are experiencing right now driving people to shoplift in order to put food on the table? So to help us discuss this matter further, we're joined virtually by a Daily Maverick journalist, Vincent Creyvagen, and Magda Reynolds, Western Cape area manager for NICRO. Vincent, Magda, thanks so much to both of you for joining us, and welcome to Morning Live. Vincent, I'm going to start with you. Perhaps just to give us a bit of context in terms of the story that you did. You profiled a single unemployed mother with 3 children from Bishop Lavis who had indicated that she'd been shoplifting for about 6 months. So tell us more about that story, please.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers, as well as to Magda, who played a pivotal role in helping me drafting this report. When Becky Kelly, the Minister of Police, released the latest police stats, everybody was focusing on murder, heist, kidnapping, and the high-level crimes. And then I noticed there was a spike in shoplifting. I took up the matter with my editor and I said, this is something interesting. I need to delve in it. But it wasn't easy. I must say it took me quite some time to get information and to locate people prepared to talk to me. Eventually, the people on the ground level, eventually I built up a trust with them and mutual respect, and they allowed me into their homes, into their makeshift homes, which looks terrible. The stench of poverty hangs in there when you walk into it. But after consultation with them, they allowed me to talk to them on one condition, that I'm not taking their photos or identify them. There were several of, about 4 to 5 of them arrived. I've interviewed several of them, and I decided on which one I want to take and focus on. And because I need to highlight the problem of shoplifting, I need to show the people the severity of this problem in South Africa.
So
one thing that we must forget is that shoplifting could and can become our second or the most highest pandemic in South Africa. What we're facing, authorities must realize, especially young women, the people that I've interviewed, before making decision of shoplifting, I mean, they don't have money, they don't have food. The constant cries of children, "Mommy, where must I get? When I'm going to eat? Mommy, I'm hungry. Mommy, what I'm going to put on my bread for tomorrow for school?" It is nerve-wracking. So that single mothers, they were left with the choice: either they become a prostitute, either they become a drug addict, and the last resort, which they prefer, is the safest one, it's shoplifting. But they know they put their life at risk, they will be arrested. But they're prepared to take that risk. I mean, any mother will go to the extreme for their children.
So, Vincent, amongst the women that you spoke to, I'm just trying to get some clarity. Were all of them basically shoplifting for the purpose that you just outlined, that is to put food on the table for their families, or were there other reasons why people chose to shoplift?
There were, most of them that I interviewed were after desperation to put food on the table. But you also stumbled across the drug addicts who shoplifts to feed their addiction. So you get different kinds of shoplifters. But I primarily focus on the ones doing it for the sake of putting food on the table. Because I mean, I grew up in a very poor household. And up until when I was matric, I was used to it, go and knock on the door, go out for a cup of sugar, or wait till 10 o'clock for your father to come from home, from work, to eat. So I know what is it like to suffer. But I mean, it is worse now. It's very difficult outside there especially for our women. But we mustn't forget males also shoplifting. While I was interviewing Christina, I stumbled upon a 48-year-old man who was arrested on that same day at pap stores. I approached the manager and they said they will only speak to me off record. The guy was caught stealing diapers. And when the police arrived later the evening, they asked him, why did he steal? He said, I'm without food for about 4 days. I can sell one diaper at least at R4 per diaper. From that, I can buy me at least a chip roll or something to eat. So it is just not female stealing.
So, Magda, if I can bring you in here, most of the shoplifters who are arrested across South Africa are, of course, referred via court processes to NICRO to be placed in intervention programs. How is that working?
So, when a case comes to court, the court will assess whether it's a first offence, what the value was of the item stolen, if they can perhaps see if this person, if it's not a first offence, that this person maybe has a substance issue or something else like depression, and then they would refer the matter on to NICRO. NICRO would then do screening to see is this a person that is suitable for our services. If yes, we will do a full assessment. We call it a psychosocial assessment, so that means that we look at the person holistically, if there are any substance use issues, trauma, what possible problems they are facing. And from that, we see in which of our service streams we can place them, or if this is a person that we would need to refer on to another service provider.
So if we look at what Vincent has described to us and, you know, what the stats are telling us, Magda, it seems that most of the items that are stolen by shoplifters would be food items. Firstly, is that correct, as per the study that you've conducted? And also, you know, would you agree that the drivers of this increase in shoplifting at this point seems to be unemployment and poverty?
Our data definitely shows that the highest items are food items and basic necessities. So yes, definitely poverty plays a big role. However, I also need to say in the same breath that in that food items is also counted, you know, arrests that were made for if an item perhaps wasn't scanned and the person didn't notice, so they walked out. Those who potentially have kleptomania and just stole things like that, people who were maybe medicated and forgot to pay for items and just left. So there's or people who had anxiety attacks. There's quite a variety of things that play into this, but the highest portion is definitely basic needs, and that is then driven by the poverty we're seeing, the unemployment rate, the increase in all the basic necessities prices.
And Vincent, just coming back to you, if we look at what both you and Magda have now shared with us, and the fact that, we seem to be seeing increased levels of poverty and inequality in our country, it really does make for some stark, thought around this particular matter, seeing that the numbers are on the uptick. But you mentioned something about the people that you spoke to making the choice to go and shoplift. And I'm just, thinking about that. So when they make this choice, knowing full well that they could get arrested, did you pulse them any further as to their thought processes going in, knowing that they could very well not return to their homes, to these children on whose behalf, they are actually engaging in the shoplifting? So can we just talk to that for a moment, please?
What I've also picked up during my investigation, it's they don't operate in isolation. It's usually in groups. I know of one group who wasn't prepared to speak to me. They consist of about 60. So what I do is one will go out or two will go out while the rest will look after their children. So whoever gets arrested, it's the responsibility of the remainder of the group to look after their children until they are released. But most of them take the risk. I remember when Francino was arrested on a Friday night, a baby was still breastfeeding. So one of the group members brought the baby to the holding cells over the weekend to allow her, with the permission of the police, to breastfeed the baby while in the holding cells until she appeared in court on the Monday morning and subsequently released. Most of them that I've chatted to, there's one line of the magistrate asked him, what is the reason, what drives you to the point, and why do you shoplift? It's the same answer. We don't have food on our tables, and we're going to do it until we can find a job. Most of them are looking for jobs. They've been unemployed for quite a long time. But I would just add worrying factor, something which disturbed me, is the amount of young children. I've chatted to a couple of managers off the record who allowed me into the shops. They say the mothers are training the youngsters, primary school children, high school children, but mostly the primary school children. They are too fast. So what they do is they slide and play hide and seek with the security guards on the floor, while the mother slips out with the items that they came in to steal on that specific day. So children are being groomed to become our future shoplifters, and that is of grave concern.
Well, we are running out of time, but Magda, I just want to, get from you, from what Vincent is saying, there may be repeat offenders in this instance because, as he says, these mothers indicate that they will continue doing this because they have no alternatives. But how do the courts view this? Are they sympathetic? Are they thinking of any other ways, interventions of dealing with this particular matter besides, the Necro intervention strategy? How are the courts viewing this?
Look, it depends on the discretion of the court and the prosecutors involved. And it also depends on the number of times this person has been arrested and what they can see the potential problems are. Usually the courts are sympathetic towards the plight, but there's, also a boundary, as they also have to look out for the interest of the public. So what tends to happen is when they send it to NICRA, that we can then place the person in a program where they could perhaps, so for example, our adult life skills program, where they could learn some life skills that they could use. We have now launched an economic empowerment program that can link them up with entrepreneurship skills and things that they may need for job creation to try and break this cycle, because we know, we can have we can address the mental health, but if we don't address the other core issues, we're going to sit with repeat offenders, like you're saying. So we're trying our very best to, address that and to link people up with services where we could potentially get food parcels or things like that. But the mental health is still important because you need to address that decision-making skills and, potentially what you are teaching your children and the effect that could have as well.
Well, we unfortunately have to leave it there, but thank you so much, Vincent and Magda, for highlighting this very important issue. And, we'll try and keep an eye on how this develops. But that was Daily Maverick journalist Vincent Kreyvagen and Magda Reynolds, Western Cape area manager for NICRO, speaking about a spike in shoplifting in South Africa and some of the reasons behind this. Let us know your thoughts at Morning Live SABC as well.